Matthaios weighs his options, as each choice brings its own great risks. He is loath to trek back through the overgrown labyrinth in this weakened state due to the toxin from the blood vein mold. He decides to take on the second ankheg in the burrow, which, slaying it, will hopefully provide a secure place to rest and recover, perhaps even find some further item of value.
This means Bastus will be coming for me, but I will face him if I must.
The rune-infused warrior returns to the ledge overlooking the ankheg lair. The stairs have once again returned to their extended position. He looks and he listens for any sign of the ankheg. He notices nothing at the moment. A plan forms in his mind. He removes his shield and takes out the long segment of rope. He gathers together the 3 Icoriite bodies, dragging them near the ledge and fastening the rope to them. This serves as an anchor that will allow him to descend the 30-foot drop-off without risking falling from the retracting stairs. Down, down the hempen strand he descends, until reaching the bottom. Matthaios takes out his crossbow and loads it. Still, there is no sign of the creature. He moves to a covered position, well removed from the burrow.
Ha!
He shouts to draw its attention, and flings a stone at the lair entrance.
Are you in there?
Not long after, the insectile monster appears, drawn to the disturbance. It jitters its antennae there, near the opening of the burrow. Matthaios considers taking the shot, but there is a large amount of blockage obstructing the ankheg, and he wants to draw the thing out of its hole, not drive it further in.
I slew your mate, you filth-ridden vermin!
He shouts to the thing again, but it does not leave the tunnel. It seems he is going to have to get closer. Matthaios ignores the sickly sensations that the mold left creeping through him and moves forward. The creature in the burrow keeps its position, using the tunnel for an ample amount of cover. It remains watching the young man. Matthaios continues his approach, with the crossbow pointed at the ankheg. The creature stays where it is, a predator sizing up the human nearing its lair. Matthaios goes forward just a bit more. He still does not have a good shot. The standoff breaks as he pulls the crossbow trigger. The bolt strikes the earthen wall of the lair. The ankheg flinches. Matthaios takes cover behind the stairs. The monstrosity goes back down the tunnel slope, out of sight.
Damn.
He assesses the situation. His heart races, and uncertainty creeps into his mind. He shouts, again taunting the thing, but it does not come back. After holding his position for a long moment, he decides he will enter the underground lair. He puts away the crossbow, takes out the wardstone, and crushes it. A prickling surge runs over his body as a thin, mystical barrier comes into place. He straps on the shield, draws his sword, and enters the burrow. A descending slope leads to the rough dugout chamber. The ground is uneven and covered in dust and grit. The atmosphere is dim and dingy, with an ever-present stink that nags at his nose. He peers about intently, looking for any sign of the creature. The sensation of movement comes to his foot, and the ankheg bursts up from the gritty floor. It attacks with sizable pincers. Matthaios jerks back, evading the pincers, and delivers a swift counterattack. His blade glances off the thick carapace of the ankheg. The dire peril of the situation floods into the warrior, and something within him responds, something large and ancient, a mighty force that flows through him. He bellows in a deep tone, and a mystical aura surrounds him. A presence appears all about him, as though Matthaios merged with a spirit of one of the ascendants of old. He brings down his longsword in a mighty slash, empowered by the giant spirit. As the blade cracks the monstrosity, the sweltering fire rune in the chest of Matthaios' chain shirt glows vividly. Flames whip along the blade, then across the ankheg. The oversized vermin weathers the onslaught and returns with a snap from its powerful pincers. The mandibles clamp together, with the warrior having evaded them again. His blade comes swiping once more. It delivers yet another decisive hit, and in a flurry, Matthaios combines the stroke with a secondary one. But the attack is stopped by the creature's chitinous hide. It is in bad condition, wounded and overwhelmed. Defensively, it skitters back and burrows into the ground once more. The spirit-infused warrior thrusts at the fleeing creature. His longsword stabs at it, where it frantically digs, nearly below the surface now. Again, its sturdy carapace protects it. It continues its desperate clambering for survival. It passes below the surface. Matthaios stabs his blade into the churned earth, but the thing has gone beyond the sword's reach. The runic might surging through him is an incredible sensation.
I have become more than but myself. Whatever this wondrous power is, it has led me to a swift victory. This is incredible.
It is not long before the spiritual presence diminishes, and the unpleasant nagging of the toxic spores returns. Having driven off the ankheg, the warrior sets about looking over the gloomy lair. In one of the dingy chambers of the ankheg lair, he finds a pile of cast-off scraps, with something of value in their midst. Matthaios digs through the scraps of refuse. There are pieces of giant insect shells, animal bones, and even human bones. Some of the scraps are sections of clothing, torn and filthy, though the clothing does not resemble anything produced by his own people at Akarat Garden. Half buried in the dirt and gravel is a mask of ornate design. It is carved out of fine wood by an expert's hand, and it resembles the face of a hyena, complete with tufts of fur affixed to its edges and fangs affixed to the mouth area. It looks valuable, both in terms of its beautiful artisanship and its high-quality materials.
I wonder who made this.
Matthaios has never seen such a mask before.
Does this come from some other people in this area? Is it old, from before the war? Or do such a people exist out there, even to this day?
The mask does not seem to have been sitting in this burrow for a terribly long time, as he is able to scrape it clean and brush the caked dirt from it, and it itself does not seem like an ancient thing. Furthermore, amongst the grit and the refuse, he finds a crossbow and a case of bolts. This crossbow has a different sort of design than the one he currently possesses. It is more complex and built to deliver more powerful shots at a longer range. The downside is that it is much heavier than the light crossbow he is currently carrying. Added along with his other equipment, it would encumber him. That is, unless he discarded his tools. Thinking over this, Matthaios explores the remainder of the burrow. It has two adjoining tunnels. One leads to a deeper nest area that is too dark for him to see. He believes it is empty, but cannot tell for certain. The other ends abruptly with a crude stop. The ankhegs must have been working on this tunnel still. Throughout the day, Matthaios remains in the shade of the ankheg lair. The wounded one does not return, and the location serves well as a secure place to rest. He wishes he could press on and not delay, but the mold toxin sapped him such that he would rather spend this time resting. He eats the foraged fruit and nuts and drinks the water from his water skin. His hope is to get another early start the next day, navigate soundly through the overgrown labyrinth, and return back to the fane of the Guardians and home. The only major obstacle he pictures is Bastus. But by then, Matthaios will hopefully have recuperated and be ready to face the Serpent Guard in whatever way. Hours pass, the daylight fades, and the sounds of night come to life. Exhausted, the young warrior falls asleep before the sun has completely finished setting.